Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heads and Dovetails with myself, Jill Harvey Bush, and Jamie Hubbard. Well, we're a bit hot here in the UK, but aren't we being British? Talking about the weather. We
Well,
never
yeah,
stop.
we have to, don't we?
Yes.
It's different, isn't it? We're just not used to it being this consistent.
Well, we say that, but actually, there's been several years now, Jamie, where it has
Yeah,
been consistently warm. That's how we got our subsidence, because if you think COVID, if you go back to 2020,
I know.
consistently warm throughout the whole of that summer. It was
Yeah,
beautiful. And then 2022, consistently warm because that's when we got our subsidence. So whilst we're saying we're not used to it, if you look, there's many a time where we get a good month or a good 6 weeks or
yeah.
3 months of really warm weather. And it looks like this year might be coming on the back of it. So temperatures
But
going
it's
up.
they are. I mean, they've said this year so far, we're just behind 1976. We're just a
Exactly.
few millimeters over of rain over 1976. But the next 2 months, we could quite easily make 76 look like a chilly year.
Exactly. It's anyway. We can climate change is a whole other argument, and
It
it does
is.
do. Is it just that actually we go round in circles? And anyway, we can argue that as everybody does till the cows come home, so to speak. But how have you been? You say a few health issues.
Yes, and I'm sorry, it's down to the weather. I'm going to blame the weather.
No,
Um,
absolutely. It affects
it
people in
is.
so many ways.
Well, I've not been well for the last pretty much almost a week, and it's been like stomach cramps, bottom of my stomach, either sharp pains, like I'm desperate for the toilet, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But really sharp pains in my lower stomach, front. Um, I'm not used to that. I'm not used to. I've never anyhow, I sort of look back over what I'd been doing. And one of the things I've been doing is, because of the weather, watering can. I've been watering my plants on the patio and youngish plants up the garden and out the front. Actually, I haven't done too much out the front, but because the front is quite a dryish garden, it's fine. It just does its thing.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't only that. My daughters don't let. I hope they can't hear me. My daughters keep telling me I should drink more water,
Yes.
and look what I've got. Yes, I've got water. But I think what happened was on Sunday morning I went to yoga. Friday I was doing garden stuff and whatever. Saturday I was helping my mom in her garden, doing bits and pieces, lifting bags of gravel because she's got a big. Her garden is 100 foot long,
Wow.
and they had all the lawn up. It's a very very wide garden compared to normal sort of houses, I suppose.
Hmm.
Um, probably 6 panels, 6 or 7 fence panels. So what's 6, 7, 42 foot wide, 40 foot
Yeah.
wide, all gravel, but not just gravelled. It was done by landscape gardeners, and it's 4 inches deep gravel, nearly 5 inches deep gravel,
Like we're
which
having here.
exactly, which is great. But she's got some beds that were around conifers. The conifers got too big. She's had those taken down, and she's got these gravel semicircles of about 3 meters semicircles coming into the garden and full of gravel. So, and it's a different gravel to everywhere else. So I'm taking that away, but just raking it up and raking it, um, putting it through a sieve thing
Mm.
to get the dust out of it. So that's core. That's me wobbling
Yeah.
around. Then trying to hold a bag up and pour it into the bag or bucket. So that's two hands doing that. And then carrying it 100 feet up to 100 and whatever feet up to my car, put it in my car because I'm having it here because I'm utilizing it here.
Right. Using muscles you've never
Um,
used before, or you don't use consistently, if you know what I
well,
mean. And we
yes, and then
often forget.
yes, and then Sunday morning I didn't feel brilliant, but I thought, oh, I'll be all right after yoga. Went to my outdoor yoga. It was a bit warm. Um, it was 9:30 till 10:30. It was a bit warm. I was okay, thought I was okay. But what was wrong, and I should have stopped, but I didn't think it would affect me like this. we were in a fan shape around her,
Right.
and the ground gently sloped up towards her.
Uh,
And I was on the end of a fan, not
so
not
at an angle as
square
well on
across
a
the
slope.
land,
Right.
not square across the land, not going up across the land, diagonally.
Right.
And that changed the way I stood. I
Yeah.
was aware that I wanted to stand upright, both legs straight. Well, if you stand upright, both legs straight, you're going to be leaning over.
Yeah.
Yes, I was leaning over. That, I didn't think it would affect me that much, but that did sort of push me over the edge. And then I had a bacon sandwich at my daughter's because it was Father's Day, and you shouldn't have bacon if you've got tummy whatever going on. And I've had spasmy cramps, and I've been saying to the girls, I know what it feels like.
And they've been telling you, no, you don't. You've no
You
idea how
can't.
painful it gets. You can't
How
possibly know.
dare you? How dare you? How very dare you say that, Dad? You have no idea. Whole kind of worms
But
open. It was, but for a fraction of a second, it might be similar.
yes, yeah, it could
But
be
anyhow,
similar. But also, you've got to be
anyhow,
careful with drinking too much water because actually, what we found with my sister is,
thank you.
older, she drinks. Well, now here's the thing that you need to do. She was drinking loads of water because she's told, yes, you need loads of water. It's warm. And she said, oh, I've always got my water. I've always got my water. And she was drinking loads of water. And my other sister and I said to her, Jen, be careful because what you're actually doing is because then her salt levels were too low, which is what was putting her
That's
back
the
into
thing.
hospital. And we said, Jem, what you're doing is you're actually washing everything out of your liver and kidneys by drinking so much water. You need to put electrolytes into your water. And we have stuff. Clive years ago used to suffer from cramp. I mean, horrendously suffer from cramp. There weren't many days when he didn't have massive cramp, or he'd suddenly leap out of bed at night and, those you were told, stick it on a cold radiator or that will help, and all these tricks. And then we saw a homeopath type person, or, into natural remedies, said, no, you want to take electrolytes. So we buy each year, not each year, we buy when we run out a bottle of electrolyte, and we literally have half a cap in a glass of water. And as soon as
Yeah,
Clive started that, he doesn't get cramp. And
there
another
you
friend
go.
was then saying about, oh, I get horrendous cramp. We said to Miggy, go, buy one of these. We'll get it for you because we get it from a place called Nutralink. It arrives the next day. And guess what? He's putting it in his water, just half a cap, not in every glass, just half a cap in the morning, and fine. And my sister also admits now, this has been a godsend, you telling me about this electrolyte and getting me a bottle of it. She
Yeah,
said, because I'm not suffering and my salt levels and everything, sodium levels are all staying in the right place. I mean, if you think about it, it's like when you have diarrhea, isn't it? What do they tell you? They give you, what is it, Diarrhea or whatever, for a
something like
reason to
yes,
drink
yes,
to
yes.
replace all the minerals and everything that you're washing out your
That
body.
you've lost.
Exactly. And again,
Well,
it's being careful what water you drink because some water is so filtered now,
yes,
it takes out some of the goodness that you actually require. So it's a catch 22,
yes.
Jamie. Just add a
Oh,
few electrolytes and you'll be fine.
well, two things here. There was an old guy I used to know. I haven't seen him for a while, actually. Lovely old bloke. And he used to take a trip every 2 weeks up to Malvern,
Ah,
to the tap that's
yeah,
there in Malvern.
yeah,
And the back of his car would look like a, um, what do you call them? Oh, the milkman. You know, the milkman
right.
with all these
Yes, bottles.
plastic things with all the bottles in. The back of his car would look like that. And he showed me the back of his car. And he goes there. He used to go there. I hope he's still all right. And he would fill up with Malvern water because of all of the natural things
Minerals
in there
and yep.
that aren't taken out. Right. So here's my thing. I'm just going to try and show you, Jill, but you probably won't be able to see it. There you go.
Cup of
So
tea, is it nettle tea or?
I went on Google and I
Oh,
said,
yes, I saw your video.
Yes, well, that was Chat GPT, and there's a
Yeah.
reason for that as well. We'll go through that later. Anyhow, I went on there, and they said if I put if I use my nettles and honey, and I put lemon and sugar in as well, And over the last, so it's a more natural way of
Hmm.
doing it. But over the
Hmm.
last few days, steadily each day, I'm feeling much better. But I'm not overdoing the water. I've still got a glass of water there, but I've got honey, which gives you this, that, the other. I've got nettles, which is
That's,
potassium, magnesium, and something
yeah.
else. Salt and lemon, and it's just
And that's why I was putting nettles, although I did overdo the nettles, as you know, and
you did, yes,
nettles and cleavers into our
yeah,
smoothie in the morning, because again, it gives you the natural things that
yes.
you actually require. But
And
there's a catch-22 about putting stuff and storing stuff in plastic bottles as well,
I know.
Jamie, now, you
I've got
know?
an old stainless steel flask,
Yeah,
and I put it in there, which I'd rather carry it around in a stainless steel flask than plastic because the girls, they're young. It's just like every few weeks there's another great big 1 litre container around with
yeah,
a straw sticking out the top, and I'm thinking, why do you keep doing this? Why?
yeah.
But
Well, they
oh,
can't
and the
blame
other
us for
thing
the
is,
plastic when we're not here.
the other thing is that, as I say, the honey. Oh, it's from up the road, so it's
It's
local from me.
local.
So that's within half a mile. And the nettles are out of from my travels, walking around. And in fact, after this morning, I'm going in the garden because I've got a little collection of nettles that's doing well under my tree, and they've not flowered yet. So I'm going to go through them again because the tree's quite covered with
Mm,
the garden's quite overgrown with trees and
mm.
hazel and pine and bamboo and all sorts. But anyhow, I'm going to go up there later and I'm going to go through all my nettles and replenish my stock because it's taken a little bit of a battering this week.
Yeah.
But feels great. Feels it's been worth it.
But I also think it's taking note where people don't, when they suddenly start exercising or doing something in the garden. There's been times when I've been in the garden and then come in and thought, oh, why have I got a pain there? And then realize I've been using the
Yeah,
big lopper and I've been resting it, sort of on my rib cage while I'm really
yeah,
pulling to cut down a branch. And then think, why am I sore there the next day? Think, oh, okay, that's what I was doing in the garden. But it's interesting you talk about the watering can, because how many people do have a big watering can? And I did a great podcast on my other podcast, GillHB and Friends, a few years ago. So it's, you'll have to scroll through the episodes to talk to one of the brothers who owns Haws Watering Cans. So HAWS, they're beautiful, beautiful watering
yeah.
cans,
I've got
not
one. Yes,
plastic,
I've got
not
two.
plastic.
Two.
He said, get rid of plastic. And I said, the problem is we've got plastic and I don't, it's that catch-22. We've got it, love to replace it. But then what am I doing? I'm just throwing it into landfill. So I might as well wait till, and they are starting to crack, fall apart, not nice. And his tip was, the point is people don't think about what they're carrying. So he said they would rather go and buy one big 2 litre, not 2 litre, but 2 gallon, now I'm going back in time, 2 gallon watering can. And he said, actually, you're much better to buy two 1 gallon
Yeah,
watering cans. So, because when you're walking along carrying that sort of can, if you've got an allotment or something like that, you're one-sided, which I know chiropractors and osteopaths used to say about women, why we have problems with our posture because of the handbags that we put on our shoulders and actually the weight some women have in their handbags. And I used to be guilty, up on my shoulder, big handbag with goodness knows what in. I now do because of back problems in the past, not now. And they said, Jill, it's because of your handbag. Get across the shoulder one, and then you're much more balanced. And also, what women tend to do is whichever shoulder, and they're absolutely right, they carry the handbag on, they tend to lift it slightly higher to keep the bag in place. So he said, both of them, osteos and chiros that I've spoken, said it's so fascinating when you follow women and realize how out of alignment they are and have been for years because of how they're
yeah,
carrying their handbags. So I digressed away from Hall's watering cans, but it was the same principle of you're much better to carry two 1 gallons, one in each hand, so that if you're walking any distance, then you're balanced than one 2 gallon one. And I think actually that's the same when you go in a gym. And we used to one of the exercises I used to do was pick up two weights, and lunge or walk down the gym, turn around and walk back. There's no way a PT would have given me one kettlebell
No.
on one
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
you know, and say, oh, Jill, off you go, walk down there and walk back with it. So is it funny? We think of certain places, we go, oh no, not, you wouldn't dare do that. And yet we don't consider it somewhere else. And then we wonder why the next day, if you're doing it a lot, you've got aches and pains and what's hurting and don't feel quite so right. And you're correct. In this weather, you add that in as well. I mean, the poor
Yeah.
guys who've
Yeah.
been digging here, wow. You know, so I've been giving them cold water and lots of drinks, and admittedly they've been having coffee, and I have given them ice creams and biscuits and cakes. And the boss came around and said, they'll never want to leave.
No.
But
No.
it's
It's
human nature.
but it is changing the mindset, isn't it? It's changing.
Mm,
It's saying to yourself, and I think I'm getting pretty good at doing this now, Jill, thinking of other ways of, or thinking of alternatives or whatever. I've had a bit of a, I know we're going to change the subject in a bit, sort of now,
yeah,
anyhow. So I've, you said you this morning, let's talk about some bugbears. Well, one of my main bugbears is really around a habit that I've got into more, and it's a terrible habit. And I don't know what, probably need some sort of coaching about it. But anyhow, this habit is I'm enjoying washing up.
no, that's a good habit.
I know.
That's a
Well,
good habit.
I mean, I'm actually so I can't say it too
Too
loud because the
loud.
girls, I know the
Not that
girls in
one
the
of your
next
girls
room.
listens to the podcast anyway, you know.
I think Ellie does. Ellie listened to the last one. She loved it.
Oh, good.
She says you two are great. Ellie, yeah. By the way, Ellie says you
Hello,
two are
Ellie.
great. She loved it. Um, and I tell you why. And I think, and I don't consider. You'll tell me if I am. I don't consider myself a total control freak, but I don't like. I don't like. So we haven't got a dishwasher.
Right.
We do it manually in a bowl in the sink, and we wash things with hot water, hot soapy water. We don't have a machine. We don't have to
Yeah.
pack it full of salt. We don't have to have a plumber
Yeah.
mess around. It doesn't cost us in electricity, but it costs us for the water. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
My one of my main bugbears is people not drying up properly and just taking the cutlery out and put it straight in the drawer, in the cutlery drawer.
Because it leaves
Now,
the mark on it.
thank you. It leaves the
Yeah.
mark on it, but not just that. I don't think people realise that, but just by getting a tea towel and wiping it over a spoon or a fork or a knife, if that's done frequently, it keeps your cutlery looking fresh and polished. Now, I nearly brought some up to show you, but I just thought, my cutlery at the moment, because the last I don't know, last month or so, yeah, probably last 5 or 6 weeks. Oh no, it's probably 2 months. Couple of months, I've been enjoying. God, I can't believe I'm saying it because if they hear me, I've been enjoying washing up, and because I suppose I don't like walking in and seeing a big pile of washing up that
Mm-hmm.
needs doing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like seeing a pile of drying up that needs doing. So if I go
Mm.
in there, before I even think about what I'm going to do, I'll grab a tea towel, go through the cutlery and do the cutlery first. That way I've controlled that bit and the cutlery gets polished. But you open the drawer and you look in and all of that cutlery is gleaming at you. And I do like my cutlery to look as good
Yeah,
as
so
good
when
as
you
it
bring
was
it
when it
out
was
and put
new.
on the table, it looks nice, you
Yeah,
know. No,
yeah.
we have a kind of disagreement. We do have a dishwasher, and I must admit, Clive said, I don't know why we ever wanted a dishwasher. We didn't have one for years and years, and then moved into a house that had one in, so started using it. That was in Weybridge, and now he loves the dishwasher. But there is some stuff that we will wash up by hand, i.e., any plastic containers. So any using the trademark Tupperware, we've learned, don't put those in dishwashers because of all the microplastic type stuff that comes off and all the poly whatevers that come off. So they get washed by hand. And also they say to wash your sharp knives by hand because if you put them in a dishwasher, they actually can blunt. But then Clive will, if he's doing anything else, he will put it on the side because occasionally there's big bowls or dishes or something if the dishwasher's a bit full and I've been baking. And he says, don't wipe it up, just let it dry naturally. And I'm a bit like you. I'm like, I want to put that away. And he said, no, no, no. And then, you've got a tea towel and you're putting stuff back on. And so we've had this argument in the past. So I have to do it sneakily. But it also means then that I can wipe down the draining board. Otherwise, that never gets done because we have a drainer, we put it in
Thank you.
and then the draining board looks terrible. So then I'm
Thank you.
I clearing it completely. And even though you've done the washing up and think, well, the draining board shouldn't look dirty because it's all meant to be clean. So how come my draining board looks this disgusting? So when Clive's not here, so I have to say it quietly as well. When he's not here, I quickly clear everything off the drainer, put it all away, and I give the draining board a good clean and wash down and
Yes.
wipe down. So I'm
Yes.
I'm with you on that, Jamie.
This is you're saying all the right things that I'd forgotten. I've just thought of my other one, bugbears. I've written them down. I've written them down. Oh, right. Okay. Somebody cooks, usually not me. Okay. I don't do cooking anymore. I used to
Okay.
do cooking when I did shopping because
Yeah.
then I'm buying the ingredients, whatever, to do the
Yeah.
cooking. I don't do shopping and I'm not very good at cooking anymore. But I have got three other people in the house
Yeah.
who probably need the practice, probably okay, doing all right, and probably the one has probably done a lot more cooking than all of us together.
Yeah.
Fine. But my bugbear is when they rinse things out, we've got these, the catchy thing in the bottom of the sink that catches
Yes.
all the.
Yes. That never
Oh,
gets emptied.
why don't people, when they what? That's part of washing up.
Lift it up, put it in the bin. Not the thing
Thank
itself,
you.
but tap it, put it in the bin,
Thank you.
back in the
So
sinkhole.
somebody will wash up and there'll be a big pile of washing up, drying up there to do. And you go to the sink to rinse something out or whatever, and you look in the bottom of the sink and there's all sorts of onion and peas or a bit of carrot and it's just like, that is part of that job. You should be doing that. So then I get a little bit, so I try to put it off, and I have done, and I'm trying to teach people that look how gross this is. And I left it one day. Oh, it was probably a month or so ago. And you know how deep they are? They're nearly an
Yeah,
inch
they
deep,
are
aren't
quite
they? Yeah,
deep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually left it till it was nearly blooming full of rubbish, and I just thought, oh, I can't handle this anymore. Nobody's
And also
noticing.
the water
Nobody's
doesn't
noticing.
drain away as fast.
No,
So then the
no,
bowl's floating on the top.
and you're just chucking more bits of muck down the drains that guess who's got to clean if yeah, because I'm sorry, the man of the house, so I get that luxury, don't I, of cleaning the drains out, doing all of that lot. I don't
Oh,
see
well,
them
I'm sorry, in this
what
house, it's not the man of the house that
equality.
does it, it's I do it. And
Well,
then
there you
Clive,
go.
the first time I did it, and Clive saw me, was like, what are you doing? Clean the drain out. And in fact, we went to Sidmouth the other day, and there's a shop there that sells quite cheaply one of those very long brushes that you can put down into the drain to clean the drain. And Clive said, what do we want one of those for? It's like, Clive, we've had one of these ever since we've been married. It's so that I can clean the drain so that when it gets a bit blocked, and he's like, oh, right. So I'm all for the women here as well, saying there's a lot of people that it's not just the man that does it. So yeah,
No, so
bugbears. What other
yes,
ones? Come
let's
on,
have
you.
yours.
Okay, one of mine, and that's what made me think actually this morning. I was going shopping very early, and I pull into this garage because it's much cheaper than the supermarket, and it's one of these that you have only one person can get in, but there's two lots of petrol, and it doesn't just happen. It happens in Sainsbury's. I've seen it happen, and the person at the front, there's like two or three. Sometimes if it's a big petrol station, there can be two or three, like in a supermarket, empty petrol pumps. But they won't go to them because their petrol cap is on the other side of the car to where the pump is. And I just
Yes,
think there's a queue of people behind you. We can't get by you. Will you not just go because, the pipes, the hoses on the end of the pumps are long enough to actually go into the, the cap on the other side. If you pull close enough to the petrol pump, it easily comes over. And somebody has used it. Yes,
yes,
but some people don't like to scratch their car. I said, you don't have to scratch your car. You can hold it with your right hand, which keeps it off the car,
yeah,
if you know what I mean, or left hand, whichever. And you can put the petrol pump in. But we have a queue of people who can't get in because you won't move to use that. petrol pump
Right.
because
I
your
I
petrol cap's on the wrong side. And that
I
just
I
drives me
totally
mad.
get it. Totally get it. But there's a but here. There's a Tesco the other side of King Swinford, Stourbridge Way. And that has got, you know, where the pump comes out of the machine at the
Hmm.
top,
Hmm.
it's almost at the same height as the screen thing with how much you're using, right? And that one, I moved my car 3 times backwards and forwards, and I was so close to the pump, and there wasn't enough hose on it to get round the back of my car. And
Right.
I just got the nozzle. Oh, Jill, if you'd have seen it, I just got the nozzle touching the rim of the hole, and I
Yeah.
just thought this is too risky. It's not in far enough. So I get it, but then there's a Marks and Spencer's one in Stourbridge, which has got much taller hoses. So
Yeah.
they're about a couple, at
But
least
you
two
can
foot
see this,
above.
Jamie, you know? Not being funny,
Yes,
when you're sitting at the front of the queue, you can see this. You can see other people parked at the pumps with their petrol caps on the wrong side, if you like, and they're happily, and there's a great long hose. In the old days, admittedly, most places didn't always have the longer hose, and they'd sometimes say, "Oh, this has got a longer hose," or this petrol pump, these have got longer
yes,
hoses. Now most of them have hoses that will go either side of your car. And that is my bugbear when you're sat in a flipping queue and you can see there's two or three petrol pumps and the person just will not go. And you think, I know why, because it's on the wrong side. And that's exactly what happens. As soon as somebody moves that's got it on the side that their petrol cap is, they will then take that place. And then suddenly you see three or four other cars all move
yeah.
in into place. So that's bugbear number one.
Go on.
Bugbear number two, reading books. I love to read, and I have started to realize I get a little bit, oh, for goodness sake, maybe I'm now very old-fashioned, and people say, oh, it doesn't really matter, Jill. We're so used to American spellings. And I've even checked the publishers. So you have a British publisher, and I'm going to say UK or British publisher. You have a UK or British author who's written the book, and guess what spelling you get inside the book? American. So what I mean by that, I know it's a silly little bugbear,
No, it's
but
not.
then
It's
behavior without the U, color without the U. And I just there's various other words I get program. No, no, we spell it, in places we spell it with two M's and an E. It's like Clive goes mad. Now I get it because somebody said, oh, just let it go, Jill. It's just the American version of spelling and everybody's used to it now because of autocorrect and blah, 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 blah. And I must admit, I'm then the same. So having said that really annoys me, grammar and punctuation really annoys Clive. So he'll huff and puff through a book, and if it's got the wrong grammar or punctuation, he'll go mad. Now, the issue in our family is, unfortunately or fortunately, I was doing English. Both my sisters had gone through, but I was being taught the new English way. So we're going way back now, which was don't worry about the punctuation and the grammar, just get it sorted. So I didn't really know where to put commas. We weren't taught that, Jamie. Where to put a comma, where to put a colon, where to put this, where to
okay.
put that, where to put ellipsis, how you use this. I didn't know all the rules because we weren't taught them. We
Oh,
were then in this progressive, which didn't last long, but of course I was in that didn't last long stage of not being taught how to use punctuation and grammar. And
right.
to
Okay.
this day, I still have to think, and I'll say to Clive, has that got an apostrophe S or is that, where do I put an apostrophe S? Do I need a comma here? Do I need a colon or a semicolon? What do I put here? Is it a dash or and that's because I went through this very
Yeah.
progressive, so we're talking back in the 70s, I think, yeah, back in the 70s, way of English. It didn't matter. It was just really important that you didn't stop the child from writing their whatever, you just got it down. But we know that commas can make a huge difference as to how a sentence is
Oh, yes.
interpreted or read if it's all in the wrong place. And you often see that, don't you now, on Instagram and where people have, well, you can put it this way or you can write it this way, and the commas
Yes.
are really important. And there was something very funny on Instagram the other day. Somebody was having a go about somebody not using the right spelling of there. so
Oh,
that
the
they
three
were
there's.
correcting them on the there and then put your, and they meant you are, but they meant YOU apostrophe. They should have put YOU apostrophe RE. So they'd have this mini rant about somebody not using the right there and not getting it right and all the rest of it. And then they went and spelt you're wrong. And I mean they spelt your, and then somebody else pointed out underneath, oh, what a pity that you haven't got your own grammar right.
I
And
wonder if it's
respecting about,
sarcastically.
well,
'Cause
it
I'd have
was a
done it.
bit,
I
it
would have
was a
done it
bit,
sarcastically.
I think it was sarcastic, to be honest, but it did make me smile. So that's my other little bugbear. If it's written by an American author and it's published, well, there's the dilemma. What do you think? If it's written by an American author, should it be American spelling, even though it's
Yes.
published by a UK publishing company?
Ooh.
All right, there's the catch 20. This is the dilemma.
Ah, right.
So,
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop you. In that case, if it's written by an American and he's the writer, I
correct.
think it should be his spelling. Doesn't matter who
Right.
publishes it,
Yes.
because then you're
Okay.
getting a bit of him with the
Yes.
or her. Yeah.
Yes. So that was my thought, which is what led me to sometimes then look to see who'd published and then actually to go
Yeah.
online and double check. Are they a British publisher? Are they an American publisher? Are they a conglomerate? But isn't it funny how little things can ruin a book that you're reading?
Yes. But so let's just put it the other way. I've seen somebody. I don't want to say too much. I've seen somebody who is definitely British. Okay, definitely British from Yorkshire. And an amazing Yorkshire accent, spelling on his captions in
Yeah.
American spelling,
Yeah. I
and
see
there's
it all
just
the
no,
time.
and that's there's no need.
I
There's
see it
no
on
need.
websites as well, Jamie. I see it on English people's websites with the American spellings. But
There you
anyway,
go.
we're out of time. We're over half an hour. We've
Oh,
slipped over. Jamie got so excited about our bugbears. Want to maybe continue in the future. So I hope you're feeling much better and that you survive the heat
thank
that
you,
we're going through. And lo and behold, another 2 weeks will go by and we'll be chatting again. So you have a good day.
and you, and you. Bye,
And
everybody.
I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks. See, we're being as good as we can to keep to this half an hour, but it's tough. Thank you very much to everybody listening. We're always really happy to have you listen and pick up any tips from us. And we'd love to know, what are your bugbears?
Mm.
Mm.